Hey heroes, and welcome to this free-to-play guide for team building and gear and how you should focus some of your resources and efforts in order to get the most out of your free-to-play experience. So one of the first tips I'll give you for free-to-play is definitely every 4 hours and come back and log into the game and check the store to get the free-to-play chest. It'll be free every 4 hours. It'll give you some gold and gear, which will definitely be very helpful in order to help you progress. You can check out my other videos for the gear that you should think about selling and keeping. But let's focus on the team you should focus on. This is just one of the team setups you can focus on. There's really no set in stone way, but I found a lot of success definitely starting out early with this free-to-play setup. So when you first start, you have two heroes. They'll be Habane and Shavarth, and so I've kept them in this guide as everybody will have them. When you get to choose your third character, usually for in my case, it was between Thomas and Rika. And I believe that is so you could choose a hero that has the taunt ability on your team. So those are my two options. If you do have those two options, I would prefer Thomas. As for this build, you'll see he has a little bit more versatility to help you survive a little bit longer. And then my fourth hero, it's very dependent on which heroes you get. I believe it's pretty random, the order you get. For this one, I'm going to use Naomi. I got her pretty late in the game, but I also had the option earlier to get her. Another great option for free-to-play would be Sarvin, as he has a lot of great options as well. But for this, I'm going to focus this guide on just Naomi. If you would like another free-to-play guide using Sarvin, I could definitely do that. Let me know in the comments. But let's focus on the gear that'll be best, which is it'll not be very hard to get, and it's very free-to-play friendly. So the first gear you always have is his common boots, which once you get it up, it'll have a good % chance to help passively heal your team as you move Habane forward, which is a really good ability. I know it'll be a little bit harder to get, but even at lower levels, level 1, 2, or 3, this is still a great ability as he can heal every turn, which is very versatile. At lower levels, the % healing he'll do is less, but just being able to have that extra healing ability is very important. So that's why I recommend this one once you get it. In order to survive a little bit longer, I've equipped Habane with his rare, which will give your team an extra boost for defense. At lower levels, I believe this gives your team an extra 25% boost, which is still very good, as we're going to be using Thomas later, as all the damage is hopefully going to be directed towards him, and this will help him survive a little bit longer. Focusing on the weapon, the best one is always his epic, but that's always a lot harder to get. And it also takes a lot longer in order to get the 50% ability. I believe that comes at maybe level 5 or level 7, which could take quite a while. So in the meantime, before, I would recommend the Sunblade. The Sunblade is really good, as at lower levels they have a 40% chance to inflict, I believe it's 200% damage, which is still a really good option. But if you definitely can get the Macarvia's Bone, it's still not a bad option either, but it's a little bit harder free to play to justify that. For this guide, I'm just going to be using all the common armor, as it'll reduce my stats a little bit more to hopefully get the stats more in line with people who are playing free to play. But that's just for this guide. Always use the best gear you have. And then for his ring item, just for the free-to-play, I'm just going to be using his common ring, which has a 50% chance to heal at lower levels, 75% attack damage, which is still really good. You can still have the other option of also gaining attack, which is still a good passive skill, as Habane does a lot of attacks. But generally, I just wanted to survive a little bit longer when I was free to play and earlier in the games, so that's why I went with the common in this build. For Naomi, one of the key items you'll definitely need is her rare goggles. I believe once you get it, maybe, I think it's level 4 or 5, I can't remember, but you'll get this additional ability to move one zone, which will be very vital in making her a very important member of the team to do a lot of damage and get into position faster. So that'll be the important thing for her, but it may take you a little bit while in order to get enough of these to get that ability, which is why Sarvin may be a better option, as his gear right out of the box is kind of a little bit more friendlier. But once you can get that, then Naomi becomes a completely different character, as she can move a lot more. And then with that movement, I would always recommend the Epic, as it has a 75% chance for an extra action after she moves. But for this free-to-play guide, I'm just going to be focusing on her common. I believe maybe at level 9, I can't remember if it's level 9 or level 13, it gets this extra action. If it is level 13, then I would probably recommend the Epic at lower levels if it does have the extra movement within what you have for the gear already. But whichever one you have and which level, definitely focus on the extra action, as that would give her a little bit more versatility. But for this, I'm just going to use the common, as it reduces my stats a little bit and kind of gets me more stat-wise on a player that would kind of be in this level again. For her hoods, at a lower level, the rare only has a 2 range, but I prefer using these hoods over the common. Even lower level, the Epic, even if you have a level 1, it'll give you just a more versatile, be able to attack beyond one zone, as all her weapons only can attack one zone. So it makes her a little bit more useful if she isn't able to attack an enemy, because they're all 2 zones out. I would recommend using her rare rogue item, her disguise kit, because it also gives her an extra item and boosts up her attack, so she can be able to utilize all of her damage against the enemies. For this free-to-play guide, we're going to be focusing on using her common pair of short swords. You could also use her rare if you have it up high enough. But for this, I think the commons are a little bit more accessible, and they still, once you get them high enough, I have them at level 9, they'll have a 400% damage, whereas when you get them to level 13, it'll have a 415. But 400% damage 75% of the time is still really good. Using her common gear, as we stated before, for all of our heroes. Okay, and moving into our defense build for Thomas. So even at lower gear, I believe once you get this to level 3, it'll have the 75 or 50% chance to gain the 1 extra action, which gaining the extra action is really valuable. I also recommend lower levels for free-to-play the rare, as most of the time you won't have a lot of strong gear, so you won't be able to one-shot enemies at one time. So this would delay that 2 turns, I believe, at lower levels at level 7. And then if you are a little bit stronger and you're looking for a counterattack, this would be a really great option to have the counterattack in the helmet as well. But you have to just navigate what gear you need in order to get through the dungeons at your level. But most of the time, I would think this arm would be your better choice. I would recommend using the rare, as it'll give you a little extra defense. The best gear is no doubt about it for a defense build, definitely the Epic. But if you don't have the Epic, the second best for the defense build would be the Common, which still has that 75% chance to give your team all a defense boost for a couple turns, which is really good because it'll help you survive a little bit longer and definitely help you once you get to the bosses, because bosses can do a lot of damage using the common gear as we discussed. And then, so the rare flask is really good, the common flask, the restoration. Once you get to higher levels, so the Lightfinger Estate, as a lot of the enemies can start to do stun and dominate now, but it's not really that useful, so you can kind of not focus on this for now, and you can focus your efforts more on just his rare if you want. if you can actually get them a little bit more, I do like the epic, but for this free-to-play guide, we're just going to be focusing on the rare as it gives you consistent defense boost. Endgame, this is where I put my counterattack, but this is the free-to-play guide, so we're not going to be focusing on that today. And then final, Shavarth. The build we have for her is, I would always recommend her epic armor. Even at lower levels, it's still really good, as it'll decrease all cooldowns by, I believe it's 2 and then 3. I have it where it reduces cooldowns on 4. But for this free-to-play guide, I'm just going to be having her rare. If you can definitely get her rare higher, I believe it will be the best item out of all this. So if you want to focus on this early, because once you get it to level 10, it'll ready all abilities, which once I get it to level 10, I'll switch over from this item to that in my actual gear that I use when I play with her high level. Free to play, I also focus and assume that you can't really do a lot of damage, so having another ability to disarm so the enemies can't attack is another great option. Her rare spellbook is also a really great option. I have it where it does 4 attacks, but on lower levels it does 2 or 3, which is still a really good option, and its cooldown is relatively low. If you want just to do a little bit higher one-time damage, the common spellbook is also a really good one, but just decide which one works better for you. These I don't recommend until later, or if you're not free to play. For this free-to-play guide, we're going to be using the Staff of Icy Touch, which is still one of my favorites, as it can attack multiple enemies. You could also use this one, but for this free-to-play guide, it's not as user-friendly, as it's a little bit harder to obtain. As always, we're going to be using the common gear for this guide. And then I built this gear focused on doing additional damage, but if you wanted to have a little extra defense in the way you play, you can also use the common items. So for this guide, we're going to be doing this Harvest Shield Mountain double XP challenge, and normally I would be having characters fully loaded out, but we're going to see how this goes with this free-to-play setup. The only thing I'll caveat is my heroes are level 17, which I believe is very high, and as you level up, the stat boosts go up quite a bit, which helps a lot, but you do not need to be level 17 in order to be able to defeat Harvest Shield Mountain, but it's definitely going to help me in this guide, so keep that in mind as we go through. So let's go. Okay, so as the dungeon pops up, we're going to scan. So we have an enemy in the far back. He has only a 2-range ability. And then he also has a 2-range ability in the middle. And then Halfer's Offspring, his first move is he'll do an attack in 2 zones, this goat score. So Thomas can go before he goes, so I'm going to attack him. And we get the Staff of Icy Touch, which was really good. So we attacked the Offspring a little bit. I'm going to move forward. Going to move Thomas forward. All right. And then attack him. Now our team has some defense boosts. We are going to move forward. Okay, now we get this extra ability to attack, so now we're going to do our attack damage, and we even get a crit. So that's what's good about these common boots, is they give you an increased chance for critical hits, which is really good. Okay, so going into the animated armors. Okay, so he attacks us. So we're going to attack this other one, because the enemy who attacked now, he has some reflect damage, which could do some damage to us. So we're just going to taunt, so all the abilities go to him, and then going to attack. Okay, So now the enemies can only attack Thomas if they're in range. So we're just going to end our turn. He's going to move forward. We're going to increase the defense for our team. Then we're going to get that extra action to attack. And we get the 50% chance to attack again. And just like that, the animated armors are gone. So now we're moving into the boss. And you can watch my other boss video from Rolljet and how his mechanics work. But we're just going to go through assuming you know how his mechanics work. So this is where the rare goggles come into place, where we can move 2 spaces, and now we can also attack as well with increased chance for crit, which we did get. A lot of damage, a lot of damage. At lower levels, you probably will not be taking him down in one turn as I did, but once you get to higher levels, you can reap these rewards as I can. Okay, so this is a tough challenge now. As you can see, we have a lot of enemies. These enemies, when they attack you on the first turn, they'll restore some of their health. So what I would think about doing is either using these 4 range attacks to see how many I can get due, or this would only be doing 2 attacks. So I'm going to see how many I can try to get destroyed with this. So we're able to get 2. Okay, and we're going to attack him. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to use my ranged attack to attack the giant, and we also get a critical hit. Wonderful. And then Thomas, we're just going to end our turn to force the enemy come to us, and then we can attack them with all 4 heroes. So therefore we're safe. And then this next round, Habane, if he has a turn, I'm thinking he'll be able to heal Naomi, but now we got spiders, so spiders are their own challenge. But good thing Thomas has his taunt ability. No, he doesn't. Ooh, so this could be a little bit dangerous. Okay. So now I'm going to be focusing on trying to get this spider out as soon as possible. So I'm going to use my stealth. Move forward. Perfect. Now I can attack. Okay. Let's try to attack the spider. Okay, 1 spider gone. Now this other spider, he wasn't able to use his range attack because Naomi has stealth. So that's why we're safe. And then we can heal her up. We can move Thomas in range and then taunt. So now these enemies can only attack him. And my main focus is not going to be on these 2 burnt bone archers. I just want to get rid of this spider as soon as possible. Okay, so the spider's gone, and then one of the archers moved back, which is great for us, so we'll attack this other guy. And then we'll give our team a little bit extra defense because we have the boss coming up after this level. Now we got a little extra defense there. Okay, then we'll just move forward. There's where the legendary helmet comes in good for Habane, as he can heal. And then just like that, we are through, and now on to the second boss. And our team all has really good health, so we don't have to worry about that. Plus we have the defense boosts. Okay, so this is where the defense boost comes in handy, as they definitely would not have been able to survive that, especially with a critical hit. So now with this, I'm just going to have Habane heal Shavarth. She's going to move up. We're going to use our 2 range ability to move into place. And then Thomas, we're going to move out of the way of his next attack. We're going to increase everybody's defense in this case. And then we're going to use our ranged attacks on him to do as much damage as possible. We're going to increase our attack and then attack him. Perfect. And then Thomas, we're going to come up and then attack him. Okay, uses his dragon's breath. Then we're going to finish healing up Thomas. We're just going to attack with Shavarth because I believe we'll be able to defeat him this turn, so we don't have to worry about his next turn follow-up, which would be attacking the right side of the field. But he is now gone, and we're on to dungeons 7 and 8 before the next boss. So both of these dungeons have humanoids, so you can just choose either one because they'll most likely be both the same. This is very scary. So when you don't have a taunt on and then you have these Wanderer Giants, they can do 200% damage, and definitely at lower levels that would have defeated my Shavarth. She definitely would not have came back from that, which is why lower levels you definitely want to have a taunt coming out of the boss, because you can't risk having that. But in our case, we're okay because we're a high level. So we'll get rid of this guy right in the front row. What I'm going to do now is heal her up. And now I want to use Taunt on Thomas. And I will use this to try to attack and defeat the giant. I did not, but all the attacks will now be on Thomas, and hopefully he can survive them. He can. Perfect. So now we can heal Thomas back up. Okay. He's got enough juice to survive it, and there goes the giant. And then I'm going to focus on this weaker enemy, and we missed. Ugh. Okay. So now we're going to move forward. Didn't pass that time, but it's still okay. Okay, so now we're going to move Thomas. Try to get rid of this weaker guy again. Okay, and then finish it up with Shavarth. Perfect. Okay, and then we're going to increase our attack to hopefully one-shot this guy, and we do. Okay, now in this case, I believe my taunt has one more turn, so if I didn't have taunt, I would give all my allies extra defense to hopefully survive her next attack, but because she can only attack Thomas now, we're going to increase his. Good thing we did, because she critical hit. But now we can move forward and start attacking her. Move everybody forward. Nice. And now hopefully, there we go. Okay, so moving into dungeon number 8. We have the choice between undead and animated armor. Definitely free to play. I definitely prefer going against animated armors, especially with this build. We do have a spider. So you can see in this case why spiders are really tough. So what this I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to end my turn here and heal Habane and wait for these enemies to come to me. So I am going to attack both of them with this. I am going to taunt, and now the spider has to move to me. And now Naomi can go and attack, and she gets her crit. Perfect. Okay, so now I can heal up Thomas. And now I'm going to use her disarm, so now he cannot attack. So now we can attack him for 2 turns, and he can't attack us, which is really helpful. And she's on the crit streak today, which is fantastic, which is a really good option why you use her common boots. And into the final boss we go. Okay, so he would be able to, in his first move, attack everybody on this front row. This Infernal, attack enemies in one. Is it the, no, it's not the Infernal ability. It's this fire sweep, all enemies in one zone. So when he goes first and his health is not halfway, that will always be his first wound. So all my heroes don't have any defense boost, so he's going to do a lot of damage, but all I can do now is just move Thomas out of the way, and hopefully they survive. Habane survived because of his common ring, which will give him a chance to heal some of the damage, which is really good. Okay, so now I can just move my heroes forward, start healing everybody up, and get Thomas into a place to attack. Okay. And Shavarth, I'll just attack him. Now I'm going to give everybody a defense boost here, because his next move will be pushing my Naomi and Thomas back. So I'm just going to try to do as much damage as I can with them in the front row while I can. And then I'm just going to attack. Okay, now he's going to push both of them back, doing some damage. It did hurt, but it wasn't enough to defeat me. So now I'm going to attack with Shavarth, and she gets a crit. Wonderful. Okay. So now, our Gothical's next move would be attacking the entire left column. So I'm just going to keep all my heroes out of the left column. I'm just going to move Habane forward and hopefully heal somebody. Cool. Move Naomi up, and she can also attack. And she gets a crit too. Perfect. Then I'll just move Thomas up and attack. Shavarth, even though she has low health, she'll be safe in this column. And I think I'm going to be able to defeat Argothical in this next move. But if I didn't think I'd be able to defeat him, I would move Shavarth over to the leftmost column. But I think I can attack him, so I am going to attack with this ranged attack because it does more damage than just her standard attack. So this is going to be doing 150, even though we cannot disarm Argothical. Okay, I'm going to move Habane forward. I'm going to attack Naomi. And just like that, we are victorious. All 3 and all 4 of our heroes are still alive. And now let's claim our reward. So let's see what we get. 19, very good, perfect. So now I get 50 rare for Faraday, and this actually boosts me up to level 11, which is fantastic. I was looking to get that. So that is my free-to-play guide and the gear, how you don't need epics and legendaries so much. And it's just more of utilizing the gear that you have, knowing its abilities, and building the correct team to be able to get through it. So I hope that definitely helps you, and keep on trying and grinding.